I have never seen a man understand what to order at a restaurant, whether that was the meat selection or the wine selection, more than today's guest, John Sacco.
This is Auto Collabs.
Yeah.
Really?
The man knows his food. He knows his wine. He was on stage, on the main stage at ASOTU 2 years ago, and we go to the steakhouse and he orders the lamb chop and he's talking about the wine he's just like way over my head. And then not too long, he was like way over like the sommelier's head. And I was like, this guy knows what, because he's in metal recycling. So his clients, he makes these big, gigantic $1 million machines that help the metal recyclers do all the separation and all that. So he's traveling around the world a lot. So he's like incredibly knowledgeable and cultured. And then he says, he's like, he tells me about the lamb. He's like, yeah, I've gotten it the last 2 nights. So I don't think I could get it a third time. And I realized this is his third time at this restaurant during ASOTU.
Do you think maybe that's why he knew so much about it?
No.
He was a cultured man. He's a cultured man.
You know what I like about this guy, and I think we're going to see it today, is the level of passion around something that nobody knows anything about, like doesn't think about. I want to say I interviewed him at ASOTU. We did a podcast together, and I walked away from it kind of feeling dumb because I was like, oh, this guy knows how the earth is created. You know, I was like,
yeah,
I was like, that's right. Oh. And I think you're going to see that level of passion. So, hey, why don't we hop into this episode with our pal, John Sacco.
John, since the last time we've talked, you've been a little bit busy. You've recorded a whole new season of the docuseries Repurposed, this time working with Toyota, like an OEM, which obviously, we were friends before, but now it kind of really piqued our interest. Because when you were at ASOTU a couple of years ago, you said, yeah, people don't realize that their car is the most recycled thing that they have. And I don't think
that's correct.
I don't think people think of it that way. And so you're like, watch me show you. I'm going to do something with Toyota.
Well, okay. First of all, gents, great to be here again with you. Have you guys watched the movie Shawshank Redemption?
Yes. Naturally. About every time it's on any TV channel, I'm like, let's
go. Which makes it 7 hours long with commercials.
Period. Yes.
So it's in my top 3, and my son just watched it. He doesn't understand why. But anyway, do you remember the scene where Red is up against the parole hearing for the 3rd time, and he finally says to the guy, goes, go ahead and stamp my forms, Sonny, because you're just wasting my time.
Yep.
And you're thinking, why would you do that? You're not going to get paroled. And he gets paroled. Right. So I shot at Toyota 2 Show. It's a subsidiary of the Toyota Motor Company. And they go, well, let's try again to get you into Toyota. Because without filming inside a Toyota plant making something from recycled aluminum, there's no show. Okay? So I got on the phone with him, and I finally just said, hey, guys, you turned me down once, so you probably going to turn me down again, but who's the coward? Who doesn't want to tell the story of green manufacturing? I'm befuddled by this. I go, it's not going to cost you any money, and if Madison Avenue came to you and said, we're going to do this 4-part docuseries on Toyota and making motors from recycled aluminum, they'd have charged you $50 million, and you would have said, where do I sign? So tell me.
Great pitch. It's a great pitch.
5 days later, we're in.
So, and they were like, yeah, but they promised us Brad Pitt, and we ended up with you.
That's cold.
That's where you went. My Italian DNA was like, I want names. Who's the coward?
Yeah. Can you spell that?
But it was really good. So they agreed, and what was really fascinating about that now is I finally got to tie in the story of how recycled aluminum from a facility like ours in Bakersfield gets to the smelter and then gets to the plant right next door. And, it's 150 yards apart, and you see these crucibles of molten, I call them big Yetis, of molten aluminum being driven by a forklift over this road and they got 60 die casters in this plant in Troy, Missouri. They make 10,000 cylinder heads a day. And, it's not as exciting as a steel mill from the big flames that you see when they're charging the furnace.
Yeah.
This is pretty mundane and boring. But what's really super cool is how Toyota, and when I say they're a green manufacturer, think about the reduction in CO2 emissions just for the transit logistics of receiving their raw material to make cylinder heads. Comes over an electric forklift.
Huh.
Well, talk about what that would usually entail if they weren't all in one spot.
Well, if you weren't, so for any logistical thing, so any manufacturing plant receiving whatever, you have to bring in the raw material. And when you bring in the raw material, take a steel mill. Let's compare a steel mill versus Toyota. A steel mill, there's a lot of trucks that go 150, 180 miles, 60 miles, and they're coming in rail cars. So you got these big, massive cars, even though rail cars reduce CO2 emissions because you got 5 trucks in one rail car. But you got all this transportation up and down a highway. Truck's got to go, dump, go back, empty, fill up, go back. So you got all this diesel back and forth, rail cars back and forth. And right, so Toyota in Troy, Missouri, with their partnership with their subsidiary Toyota Tusho, 150 yards apart. So your forklift just all day
has to go between. Yeah. And
forklifts. Think about the reduction.
This is just one part, right? Because it's not just the one part. It's not just the cylinder head. This is like a ton of the inner portions, the body of what makes up a Toyota.
No, this plant is just cylinder heads.
Okay.
Wow.
And here, so in the Toyota world, they're very proud of this. Every Toyota cylinder head manufactured in the world, from Bangkok, Thailand to Troy, Missouri, every plant across Europe and Japan, doesn't matter, South America, every cylinder head is identical to the model of the car, be it the Tundra, the Tacoma, the Camry, the Corolla. Every motor cylinder head's the same. They don't have a motor that's different in South America, into Asia, into Europe, into North America. They're identical.
So they can scale.
So they know.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Exactly.
It's interesting that you bring that up, because Kyle and I were just at this kind of like very closed door consortium about China and the future of manufacturing, the future of powertrains. And one of the things that one of the analysts that came up and did a presentation was talking about the increased standardization across all OEMs of certain things that make them able to manufacture so quickly and so cheaply, right down to like windshield wiper blades. There's no OEM spec for a windshield wiper blade. You want to put a windshield wiper blade on that car? Here it is. It's made in the windshield wiper blade factory. It fits on the windshield wiper blade holder. And just, it's interesting to hear how Toyota is already deploying this in something like cylinder heads across all. I would have never thought that would be the case.
And I was shocked to hear that, because in the end, I'm like, that is just standardization in their manufacturing process. So let's say they have an increase in the main, because this is cylinder heads in Troy. Jackson, Tennessee is motor blocks. Transmission housings are made elsewhere. And so, they have, all these different components are made from recycled aluminum and not virgin aluminum. I can get in that in a minute, but I want to stay on the standardization. So the unique thing is anywhere in their manufacturing world, let's say they have a disruption from a hurricane or a flood or whatever. Okay. Disruptions happen. They can now bring the same cylinder heads, load containers of cylinder heads from Bangkok, ship them into the U.S., or vice versa, or wherever the hell they need to go. In other words, their diversity of being able to say, well, I need to increase the cylinder heads in this part of the world. They're able to do that by saying, okay, I need more cylinder heads from this place over here. And they don't have to worry about.
Do you think that level of standardization and efficiency tracks all the way through to the end purchase price of the vehicle? Meaning, here's where I'm going with this. So I drive a Tundra. I've had pretty much every major truck brand now. I've had a Sierra, I've had a Silverado, I've had an F-150, I've had a Tundra. And maybe it was the dealer.
I didn't know that about you, Michael.
You didn't know that about me?
I didn't know you've had every truck known to man. I thought this was just something you did when you moved to Texas.
No. I started in,
you
started in Alberta, which is extremely northern Texas. But what stood out to me is like, okay, let's say 70 grand for a Tundra compared to one of the other makes. What impressed me is like my last truck was one of, I'm not, because I don't want to alienate people, but it was one of the other ones. And I'm like, wait a minute, for 70 grand in a Tundra, it comes with the safety monitoring. It comes with this big, beautiful screen. It comes with the bed spray and bed liner already. It comes with the footsteps already. It comes with all these things that for the same price in the other brand, I didn't get any of those things.
And it came with a gun
in
safe
competing
too.
brand. And I wonder, does this standardization of manufacturing trickle down to the consumer experience where you just get more value for your money?
Absolutely, it does. And the thing about that is the standardization in all of that allows for, like I said, think about it. They don't have to they're not reinventing the wheel. They're not making a model that has this and has this and has this. This is it. And they're able to manufacture on the high level all the different components they need for that particular model. And that's why, what happens is we manufacture balers. And just to give you every pump on our balers, from the Reb 1, Reb 2, Reb 2 250, Reb 4, Reb 8, I can interchange any pump on any machine. Some machines have more pumps, but it doesn't matter. I did it. And where do you learn that from is really the Japanese and the Toyota world. It's called Kaizen, continuous improvement. How do they continuously improve? And if they're and here's the key: Kaizen, I thought were big improvements. They're little improvements. What can we do a little better here? What can we do better here? What can we do better? If you try to be better every day, they were telling me, well, that's a Kaizen, because not every day you can make a major change. But if you can be just a little better every day, that's Kaizen. And so they have taken this model and, the Toyota manufacturing world, they're renowned for their consulting as well, where they would come into planning. People want to help manufacture at a more efficient level. They're renowned for it because they understand this. And now not a total expert on the Toyota total way of thinking, but Michael, to your point of standardization and reducing the cost to the consumer, that's why the value, if you look at what I was looking online, what does a Corolla go for? What is a Camry? I was shocked at how economical the price tag was compared to other brands for the similar, make model of a vehicle. So obviously there's something to it, because how can they produce a vehicle? Because they have to produce it here in America. A lot of them are made right here in America. Well, how are they producing something here in America that everybody says is the most expensive place in the world to manufacture, but yet they can offer something at a more competitive price than the GMs and the Fords and the others?
Yeah.
So Michael,
I want to go back to, because you've said like they're a green manufacturer. I want to go back to that, because right now the geopolitical, the political, the cultural climate is a lot around electric, right? New powertrain, new way of thinking, production styles, even materials being used in these vehicles. Can you juxtapose for us just a little bit on, like, when you say a manufacturer that is, that is primarily making gas and hybrid engines, lots of hybrid powertrains, is you would consider green based on the entire vehicle process in comparison, even potentially to some of the newer manufacturing and powertrain processes?
Well, okay, that's a great question. Yeah, so green, what is green? Green, that's a hell of a word, and a lot of greenwashing goes on out there. Greenwashing is really the bull crap of saying we're green when you're not. But Toyota, let's look at their any piece of aluminum from their wheels, transmission housing, differentials. If you get up underneath, Michael, to your Tundra, and you see the Tundra, there and the drive the train, the shaft, that's all aluminum now. That is 800 pounds lighter because of the use of aluminum. Now, the aluminum they use is recycled aluminum because it comes with it's easier to alloy up to make the alloy they need, more durable. Virgin aluminum is far greater in expense, and the additives that you would have to come up with from virgin aluminum and the mining of it. There's no way, recycled aluminum saves 95% CO2 emissions in the remelting and 95% of energy consumption versus virgin. Okay, so right there and then, just the use is dramatically greener. All right, so then you got like brakes. Brakes in America are made from 100% recycled iron. A lot of the copper in the cars has a huge amount of recycled copper content in it. Now, the outer shell of a lot of the cars are going to be from not EAS, but from integrated steel mills that use iron ore. Let's be honest about that. But in the steel making of integrated steel mills that make the steel for the outer, the doors, the hoods, and so there's about 10 to 15% of recycled steel in that. So when they're putting all together in some of the plastics that they're using, they're coming from recycled plastics. In the plant in Troy, Missouri, the silicon they're using for the molds, so that do the ports, they have to put these things in there, and what it does is that sand is made from 100%. It's reused over and over and over and over again. So even when they have a bad motor block or bad cylinder head, that gets recycled, goes right back to the smelter, remelted, and brought back because through the inspection process. So when you start seeing just the sheer amount of the circularity of components that they're using, that when they have scrap out of their plant, it goes back to the aluminum smelter or the steel making plant for fenders and hoods. It goes back to the steel mills to make new products. So they're using, it's a closed loop recycling. Their waste metal, it's not waste, I would never call it waste. Their residual, well, I don't know why I use the word waste, but their residual, their byproduct from manufacturing, call it from stampings or whatever, go right back into making the new coils, the new steel, the new aluminums, all that stuff. So, versus the electric vehicle that has so many rare earth minerals in it, that has the cobalts and stuff. So you are dealing with more virgin metals in an electric vehicle than you are, if you will,
that makes sense.
It's always new. Yeah.
I like that you just brought up the rare earths because that's been a super hot topic of conversation in automotive. China controlling this thing. It's 90% of the magnets or the availability to manufacture or refine the materials for magnets. And so we were talking the other day and we did a quick search and I was like, can you recycle magnets? And do you have a thought or perspective on all these rare earths, these magnets that are, holding kind of the EV industry? Some people think hostage because now China has secured so much of the raw materials. Is there going to be a shift and a hyper focus on recycling these and those being available and kind of breaking down some of that?
There will be
monopoly.
There will be, yeah. There's going to be.
And the real question is John Sacco about to become the most important man in the EV conversation?
No, not at
all.
And the reason, and here's why I'm not, because in the end, rare earths and all the stuff used to be making EVs, the lithium batteries, the lithium that they use there. So what you have is right now the EVs are not designed to be recycled yet. Okay. Because the lithium battery, the lithium batteries, just in the auto industry alone, in appliances, the lithium battery is problematic of extracting, like in a cell phone, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So EVs, you have a car, it's got these big EV batteries. What do you do with it? The automobiles die, a internal combustion engine dies by an auto shredder. But what happens with the lithium battery and those materials? And right now, the recycling of all these other materials that are in EVs hasn't quite caught up. There's some people starting to do it, but it isn't as easy as it is just a regular gasoline engine, if you will. Easy to recycle, easy to process. And when it goes to EVs, the one thing about EVs, they're using, like Tesla, they use a lot of recycled aluminum in their frames. So that's the good news there. The lightweighting in any auto manufacturer in the United States is where we're saving CO2 emissions on the MPG. More miles per gallon means less CO2 emissions. So that's good. Sure. But the electric vehicles, see, now the other issue with the electric vehicles is the recharging grid. The infrastructure to recharging vehicles requires, if we went to all electric vehicle, we just wouldn't have enough copper as it is now in the power.
What's China doing about power. That? I mean, the copper. Well,
they don't have standpoint. Well, copper, it's a worldwide traded metal. They have large inventories of copper, recycled copper. So that's why, if you look at copper, it's trading over $5 a pound on the COMEX, the Chicago Mercantile. Look, copper is going to be in high demand as so much electronic things, electric forklifts, electric
Invest in copper is what you're trying to tell me. Somehow.
Well, I got to believe it's going to be, it's a commodity that's going to be in high demand, because if you think about it, think about all the products, lawnmowers at golf courses. Okay. Take Pebble Beach, right? Iconic, right? Well, eventually that'll be robotic EV. It'll be an electric lawnmower that'll be AI guided. Think about that, but they're going to have to charge that. Now they need more power. Every golf course, I'm just using this as an example. Street sweepers. Well, as we see the cabs, the driverless cabs, well, now all the street sweepers across America could be electric, AI-driven street sweepers. Well, now they got to return home to be charged up every day. So when you have anything that's got to be charged up, you need more copper. You just end of story. Now a lot of people use aluminum cables now. There's copper cable. There's aluminum cable also. So as we go to more electric, your ATVs will go more electric. Now, if you think about boats, I mean, there'll be electric motors eventually. I got a boat that has a 300 horsepower Mercury, 300 horsepower Mercuries. Well, one day somebody's going to figure out how to make those out of electric. So think about all the electrification going on. And when you electrify, you need one major commodity, and that's copper.
I'm not even lying. I'm buying bricks of copper right now.
Buying it just
right now. That's what he's doing. Copper bricks.
Michael froze.
Someone's gonna need these guys. That's wild.
Well, we have one more thing while we have you. We want to play. What did you say?
You all froze for a second. All three of you went.
Oh. Got it. Sorry, we want to play. We want to play one more thing for you. I think we have a little delay. Okay. It's all right. We'll figure it out. We want to play one thing for you and ask you a couple more questions about it. Nathan, roll it.
Sure.
Without the recycled metals industry, no rebar to build the hospital's foundation, no surgical tools, can't even build this gurney without...
Nobody asked.
That's amazing.
All right, so this obviously a commercial to commemorate and promote the launch of Repurposed season 3. We kind of related to that one because we see it, and sometimes like we'll walk in and we'll just be talking to like the hostess at the restaurant about how great the car industry is, how important it is to the local economy, how important it is to leadership development and community, and like they smile and they nod, but really nobody asked. Why are you so driven to produce this docuseries to an industry that the pregnant lady on the gurney said nobody asks, right? While her husband's trying to tell her none of that would be possible. Why are you doing this?
Because it comes down to the bottom line. Our industry has a terrible image. We're looked at as dirty, waste, trash, garbage, junk. All of those are absolutely not what we do. Mm-hmm. And if we don't change the image, if we don't change how we talk about what we do, and like the blue states across America don't like our industry. Okay. They think we're bad. Yet they don't understand without us, they don't live their lives. Healthcare gets all of that. And that's why I was saying nobody asks because I can tell you, and when season 1 came out, Democratic majority leader in the Senate was Mr. Schumer. The Speaker of the House was Kevin McCarthy, Republican, Democrat. They watched a couple episodes and they said the same thing. Wow, I had no idea what your industry does.
Wow.
Because we don't ever teach our kids this. And so when I say nobody asks, well, how's our car made? What materials? Where does it come from? How about that highway that is being constructed that slows traffic down? But where's that steel coming from? Because nobody asks. Because nobody asks, in World War II, our industry, we were slaughtered for our efforts because our cans are our bullets. We were fighting tyranny with the stuff we recycled. World War II, there was posters, recycle, your metal is our cannons, your metal's our ships.
Yeah.
Why? Because we were fighting tyranny. We went from the heroes to persona non grata in a couple decades.
Wow. Yeah. And it's like, but we still produce.
Anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're just as important still.
Say again?
But you're just as important still. But you're just as important still.
I would argue we're the most vital industry in America because without us, there is no healthcare, there is no farming, there is no auto industry. In season 3, they flat out tell you, you cannot make one automobile today in America without recycled aluminum, and that's all manufacturers.
Wow.
Sounds so familiar.
I'm enraged.
I feel it.
Think about that. Not one. So why am I running with this? Because nobody's asking the question. I got a fun one with a guy on an airplane. It's starting to come out now.
Did you say you got a fight with a guy on an airplane?
No, there's a guy on a flight. It's another one like that where the guy's talking to this lady. Without recycled metals, the aluminum for this aircraft wouldn't be made, and without copper, there won't be the electronics to run this aircraft. And for that matter, no rebar for the runway we're going to land on, or the steel for the jetways and the airports. She looks at him. Nobody asked, and that's the problem.
That's the problem.
Nobody's asking.
We wouldn't be in a steel can flying across the world without that industry. That's wild. That's wild.
So think about this. Every kid who takes chemistry, this is important to me. Every kid who takes chemistry in high school always says the same doggone thing. What do they say? When will I ever need this, right? Well, if you get a job in the aluminum smelting industry, the steel industry, the copper industry, you got to know your periodic tables because you got to see when you're doing the metallurgy in a steel mill, an aluminum foundry, a copper, and you're saying, okay, well, I got X amount, 0.1% moly in this. Okay, that's acceptable. So now you got to know. So if our educators would teach our kids, hey, let's build a bridge, we need steel. Let's go to steel and let's look at the periodic table. Here's all the elements that go into making steel. Wouldn't kids go?
Here's how we actually use that. Yeah. Yep.
Your car that you drove to school in today. And see, that's what my point is. Nobody asks. Do you think a kid gives a flying rat's ass that the hospital they were born in it starts with recycled steel with rebar. Did they even know? No, nobody asked. Nobody tells them.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm doing this.
Well, hey,
I don't get passionate about this. I get, you guys hit a
We
button
can tell
with
you
me.
don't care
Real
at
life.
all.
Hey, I love it. I love the passion like came right through at the end, and the fact that you're doing the whole series. You know that funding it changes an industry, but also the way that you're going about it is amazing. I'm glad we got to chat, talk through the auto industry, talk through steel. We went a million different directions. John, it's always a pleasure hanging out with you.
It's a pleasure to be with you guys, but let's settle on one message. Without recycled aluminum, you cannot build one automobile in America today. Not GM, Ford, Toyota, you name it. You can't build one without recycled aluminum.
That's right.
And
go learn all about it. Repurposed Season 3, available now on Amazon Prime.
Yeah. Not yet. Not quite yet on Prime.
When?
It's on YouTube. It'll be
good.
Probably a couple, 3 weeks.
Trust
but
us,
here's the point. Here's the tagline: recycling aluminum, driving the U.S. auto industry.
Let's go.
Hey, let's go. Awesome. Thanks, John.
Gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here with you. You keep doing what you're doing. I love what you guys do. Keep playing those guitars and have a little fun, all right?
Will do.
All right, look, if you weren't watching that podcast, take yourself the time, go near the end, about 5 minutes to the end. We played a video. It has nobody asked. You have to watch it because it's one of these things. It's clearly AI generated, right?
I don't think it's clearly AI generated.
You don't think so?
No. I think that if you didn't say that, no one
would have known. Okay,
yes.
So it's AI generated, but the level of thought behind putting together a campaign like that. And I think that the reason why we love talking to John is because there's so much similarity in what auto is, the connective tissue to everything that happens in our country, the level of GDP associated with selling and servicing a car, like those two pieces and the spider web of it going out, similar to the steel industry, the recycled metals industry, so intense. And like, to hear his passion ramp after that was insane.
You know what frightened me a little bit, actually? In his passion, he revealed, tell me if I heard this, I wrote this down, that he, knows, it seems quite well, legislators on Capitol Hill.
I think he does, yeah.
Yes.
And revealed that they have no clue the depth
listen,
of... That part
doesn't surprise me at all. We were talking to.
Surprised me. I said it frightened me.
Frightened. Okay, that's fair.
People making laws and regulations who have not even asked the most basic question about the thing that they're legislating.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons that NADA works so hard to be on the Hill and why it's so important that auto dealers get involved with the legislators, because oftentimes you have a legislator who is, when you have an industry specific topic like automotive. For instance, there is an aide who is advising the legislator on the topics, on the issues, and that aide oftentimes in Washington, D.C. is like, oh yeah, I've never actually bought a car. That actually happened to us, and we were talking to somebody like, yeah, like, being honest, I've never bought a car.
Never bought a car.
Yeah, I mean, who were we talking to?
You're advising policy. It's like, who's your favorite? He's like, I don't know. I like Carvana, right?
Yeah,
because they see the most commercials.
They were like, there aren't even any EV chargers at the Capitol.
It's like the same people that say we should outlaw 18-wheelers. We should outlaw these things. It's like, well, you realize that if we did
that's how you get your groceries.
You wouldn't have any of the stuff that you have right now.
It's amazing. Well, hey, we hope you enjoyed that conversation. We certainly did. You can hear the passion behind John. Go check out Repurposed on YouTube right now. You can find it on, if you're listening to this a couple weeks later, you can probably find it on Amazon Prime Video, where you can find More Than Cars, our docuseries as well.
Nice.
On behalf of Paul J Daly, Kyle Mountsier, and Michael Cirillo, I'm leaving him last because he's amazing. Thanks for joining us on Auto Collabs.
Welcome to Auto Collabs.
recording.
Are we rolling yet?